Good evening and welcome to our March 13th Special Equity Committee meeting. This is part 3 of our Special Equity Committee. We have the same agenda here because this is part 3 where we originally, just for background and context, we moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We moved 6 items from a full board meeting to our equity committee, and we have been working our way through these 6 items. While the progress we've made so far, we had a equity policy and a racial equity policy. We have been working together to co-create a new policy that provides the student support and resource guidance that the board and administration have been working together to hold in our district. And then the plan that has been discussed until now is that once this committee has a policy that is ready to give to our legal and policy committee meeting that is scheduled for next Monday the 17th. So if we have something ready at the end of this meeting, we can give it to the policy committee, and then generally items go through the policy committee as a first read, then they go to the full board for a second read, and then they go to the full board again for a third and final read, and that's usually when a policy is enacted. So with all of that timeline in mind, where we left off from our last meeting, first we have approval of the previous meeting minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of the previous meeting minutes from March 3rd, 2025.
Okay, thank you. And we have no one signed up this evening for public comment. And so now we can move ahead with discussion of items. Where we left off was at leadership. So if Dr. Chapman, if you could please bring us back up on screen, we can jump in where we left off. Thank you. So in this section, it said, the superintendent will ensure implementation of the policy by engaging in the following practices. And then in A, we had recruiting, employing, supporting, retaining, and continuously developing a workforce. And then it looks like the committee struck through part of this sentence. If there's any discussion on what we might want to save or keep based on these recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just for clarity of those at home, this is 2260.04, policy 2260.04, is that correct?
So this actually comes from 226007. Originally comes from 226007. And so this would have been, based on this font, page 3, the bottom of page 3 of 226007. But we are placing this in our combined new co-created policy.
Right, which
yes.
would be 2260.04, is that, or no? Because I need to know, do I need to scratch that out and put 07?
So we don't have a number for what the new one would be yet. Yeah.
But it was 226004.
Yes. It was, it could be again, and I think the grand finale tonight probably will be our titles.
Oh, okay.
Once it's all done. So, but thank you for that clarification. That was very important. Thank you. Discussion on leadership. Would we like to leave the strike-through items struck through and leave the other things there?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I think that these are the strike-throughs that took place when the superintendent and the administration looked at it, and so I think that
All right. So
look fine. So it would stop at workforce.
it would stop at workforce.
It would not say racially conscious or culturally sensitive administrative. Yeah.
So if you could please, our official, so at A, it would stop at workforce, and the items that are struck through the rest of A, we would delete. Yes.
And Madam Chair, then B is totally eliminated, so that C would become B, replacing operational practices with systems that support implementation of this policy.
Yes, yes, and I understand why in the first round of this, the strike through on B, does B need to be eliminated completely, or is there anything in business practices that we would either want to maintain in B or add to C that combined CB? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure, but I believe this was one of the sections we thought we could insert some of the legislation.
The legal language? Yeah.
Legal language, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for that reminder. The legal language and the information on the protected classes, I think this could be a good spot for that. Do we have some of that language available that we might be able to paste in? Oh, wonderful. You are so prepared. Thank you.
Okay, dear colleague letter, all right.
Madam Chair, so as I read the dear colleague letter, I, started to look at paragraph 2, where it talks about enforcing Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, which, speaks to some of the work we do with young people in our district, American Disabilities Act. I think all of these are applicable to what we would follow.
Thank you. So in these, Dr. Chapman, we had A, B, C, and D in our working draft up here. So if we delete the strike throughs on A, if we just backspace those, since this is our final here. Oh, yes.
Point of clarification for me. We were working on reviewing language from what is the racial equity policy and adding it to what was formerly called 2260.04. So there was the going back and forth. Do you want me to focus on this one as we're going back and forth? Read from this, lift and rewrite into the new.
Yes, so point of clarification, I thought if we went to the top of this was the beginning of what we have edited from 2260.04 at the very top. And so we've already pasted the remainder of 2260.07. And so we are just determining what we are keeping from that. So that way we don't have as much back and forth. It's just, if we leave it on here, we're keeping it. If we add it on here, we're adding it. But this is, what is left of this, hopefully by the end of today, is what we will present to the legal committee.
As in pasting onto the formally named 2260? Because right now we're in 2260.07, not 2260.04.
This would be the whole new one.
Okay.
Because it has everything from both.
The other
No?
one has
The other one
everything
did,
from
sorry.
both.
I thought we already moved, that's the confusion. I thought we already moved these to the other one that had everything of both.
This one has everything from both.
Okay. So then here in A, so if this one has everything from both, do we still need the other one at all? Yes, okay.
I think we were still reviewing it to ensure that we weren't missing pieces.
Okay,
And if kept, then going to the new one.
okay.
Yeah.
So then let's update the new one. Thanks.
And so, Madam Chair, for clarification, so we are updating the new one with the second paragraph that starts with the statute that OCR enforces includes Title 4 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964? Is that what we're updating this with?
I think that is what Dr. Chapman was recommending, and I was trying to figure out which letter we would be
Oh.
placing that under.
Oh,
But then
just
we
whichever.
also need to figure out which document we're placing that under. Once we get rolling, I think it'll be good, but.
Well, as
So,
long- Dr. Chapman, do
yes,
you
thank you.
understand what you, okay, as long as you understand, okay.
so on the one that we are keeping, we have updated A, and we are removing B.
Okay, yeah.
We're removing B. And then in C and D, do we want to insert this, or is this its own letter? What are your recommendations?
Well, if we're moving, we're totally eliminating B, and we can move C to B, and D to C, and then this could be D.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And while Dr. Chapman does that, I do see in C, one strike through, and I think it looks like, is it okay if do we agree to remove the strike through? And then in D, moving forward with just what's in red.
Right. And then for Mrs. Carter, we're at leadership, and we're just recommending to keep what the administration has recommended. All right. And to add the law as it relates to the civil rights.
And do we want a verb in D? That we are observing, or, because as I see as it is pasted, we're stating Title I, but we are following, we're observing, we are. commit to observe. I like that. Technology. The good news is it's in the cloud, so it's okay about the save.
And so while she's
Thank you.
doing
Yes.
that, where are you recommending that we stop this paragraph? So we're not going to include this entire paragraph. Or is that the recommendation?
It looks like, and I didn't see where so it looks like it stopped at 5 here.
At disability?
At disability.
At disability.
Yes.
At disability. So we would stop the paragraph at
At
disability?
disability,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's for you. Okay, so.
And at disability. Yeah, but if she can't keep track of everything we're saying, I don't know.
But you can edit it on paper. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I stopped at this.
Okay,
I did stop at disability.
okay. The thing is, I think probably the public just can't,
Yeah.
something is
Yeah.
happening.
Well, because hers isn't open either.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down.
The last disability,
Yes.
the last disability.
Yep, Section 504 in Title II, prohibit discrimination on the basis of disability.
And before we move on to family engagement, in C, we had, the previous policy said, replace inequitable operational practices with systems that support implementations of this policy. If we just remove inequitable, it just says replacing operational practices with systems. I don't know if we want to say replacing ineffective operational practices.
The system that support
With-
implementation of this policy. Yes. That would work.
And then D would say, establishing accountability systems and metrics that are specifically designed to achieve positive outcomes, ensuring that progress is measured and disparities are addressed. So then moving to family engagement, the first line in family engagement said, develop and implement, reading without the strike through, develop and implement practices in collaboration with students, their families, and other community members. If we remove the strike through, if that is reasonable. Okay. And then section A without the strike throughs would read, seeking and including various perspectives in the development and implementation of high-quality teaching and learning practices and curriculum. If that is acceptable. Okay. And then in B would read, without the strike-throughs, engaging representation among all voices, particularly families, community groups, students, and staff. We're good with that? Okay. And then C would read, seeking community feedback to bring multiple perspectives when trying to resolve district issues which may impact the community. So that is family engagement. Are there any comments for family engagement?
Oh, we're back up, okay.
Yes. And Dr. Chapman, I don't know if, when in between the section above this and C, it would have been B, we had replacing, between replacing operational, it was replacing ineffective operational practices. Yeah. Okay. So now that we're all caught up, any comments or discussion for, I would say, leadership or family engagement? I think we can, on D here, erase the 5 at the end. I think the 5 was the reference.
For the other, for the dear colleagues, right,
Yeah.
yes. The footnote. It was a footnote.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Footnote.
Footnote. Okay. Well, I think we now can move on to student discipline, which is the next section. And this section had a lot of strike-throughs. And the first strike-through is a genuine question I have that I probably should already know the answer to. But it said Akron City Schools, but the strike-through was to change it to Akron Public Schools. What would be an advantage or disadvantage of making that change?
I don't know, where is that? I don't see
Oh.
it.
Yeah, so this is in student discipline, this is the very first sentence. It said, as most districts in the nation, it said, Akron City Schools has experienced significant and persistent disparities in the discipline of students. Presently, I lean towards keeping city because technically that is our district. But I didn't know if somebody put forth the effort to make this change, they likely had a good reason to make this change. So I wanted to.
So, Mrs. Carter, do you remember the thought process?
I know that if you look us up under the if you look us up under the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, and you put in our IRN, it's listed as Akron City, but I've seen it used interchangeably. So I think I'm curious to know, what are we saying in the other policies? And is it consistent throughout So can we come back to that part? I want to just look up a few other policies to see what do
Okay.
we say, how do we say it?
Yes. So moving on from there, it looks like after the first sentence, it's recommended to strike through the rest of the paragraph. So it says, as most districts in the nation, Akron City Schools has experienced significant and persistent disparities in the discipline of students. Do we know if that is something, significant and persistent disparities, if that is something that would flag us, I don't know, concerning trends or something else? Or are we good with leaving that?
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not sure about the flagging of the language, but it is a fact. And so I don't know between fact and what is part of the discussion from the federal level about disparities. And so we may want to talk more about that.
Well, that seems to be the only sentence that was left in this section. Everything else has been struck. Because it seems that everything else kind of explains why the sentence was made, that the Akron City Public Schools has experienced significant and persistent disparities in the discipline of students. And then it goes on to say, based upon race, ethnicity, and that has been struck. And so it's just
Yeah.
that one line.
It's just that one line, but does it need to be just that one line? Do we need to extract all of this? I mean, this is a lot to remove. Is there, and I know in other parts of this, there were items that we were able to keep. I don't know. In my notes, I just wrote, we don't need to get rid of all of this, do we? So I will read some of this, and then maybe we can think what we might want to still remove.
And just, I would
Yes.
just say, as before you read that, so what has happened with this, all of this is what the administration have taken a look at and have recommended that it all be struck. Correct, Mrs. Carter? So what Member Molinar is about to read is 3 paragraphs that you're recommending should be struck.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I will start. It's in the copy that I had originally said, Akron City Schools has experienced significant and persistent disparities in the discipline of students based on race, ethnicity, disability status, learning styles, sex, language, and other factors. Significant disparities persist with exclusionary disciplines still as overall rates have declined over the last decade. These trends are a pressing crisis in the United States of America, warranting serious attention from school districts as well as APS to work toward equitable opportunities and outcomes for every student. The next paragraph goes on. An impact analysis of discipline policies and practices on particular groups of students is an important indicator of equity in student discipline. Disproportionalities in student discipline rates in a school or school district may be caused by a range of factors. However, a large body of published research suggests that the substantial racial disproportionalities reflected in national data cannot be explained solely by more frequent or more serious misbehavior by students of color or by challenges associated with poverty. Evidence shows suspensions and expulsions have a negative impact on school climate and student behavior, which can lead to other adverse outcomes to include the school-to-prison pipeline. And there's another paragraph. I don't feel like all of this needs to be removed. I think that there are sections of this, as Dr. Chapman mentioned, that first of all have been, published as facts in peer-reviewed journals, and some of this, I understand the Dear Colleague letter specifically discusses race, but some of this doesn't even do that. The last sentence: evidence shows suspensions and expulsions have a negative impact on school climate and student behavior.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of in here that we might be able to continue to strive towards as a district. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also agree, and I think even the first sentence in the second paragraph that you read speaks to the importance of examining, auditing our practices and our policies on a regular basis, and the impact of discipline policies on particular groups of students is an important indicator of fairness in student discipline for all students. I mean, I think that's really good language with just a little tweaking.
I agree. I believe last week when we were here, we talked about the auditing, and we talked about disaggregating groups of students and looking at data in that very particular way. And I think that we might be able to bring some of that perspective here also. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, in line with your point, the state already does do grouping of students where it shows how they're performing academically, and it's not necessarily based on any of the racial indicators that we're seeing as being problematic, being deemed as problematic currently. And I think as Dr. Chapman, if I'm correct, you said an impact analysis of discipline policies and practices on particular groups of students is an important indicator of student discipline. And one way that is still a valid and a good point, because when we're assessing the data as far as academic performance data, since the state already naturally groups those students, and so you can see the tiers in which the students are performing. If you look at the data from Bookdo or Firestone, the level that they're reading at, those who are proficient and accelerated, that then a correlation can be made to those who are not reading that level that may have more discipline problems, and we can still use that to inform our decision making from an academic lens, just using the model that the state gives. So to your point and Dr. Chapman's point, it's something that is already a relevant indicator that comes down the pipeline when we do testing. And so I would be in agreement, and I think it's important. And I'm just curious, do we have this data? Have we run this data where we could look at it? I'm not even saying now, like, do we already have a common practice that if I wanted, or the community here is talking about this specific analysis, since it was already in a policy, do we have these numbers where we can see, based off of these aggregated data sets and groups, that we can see how discipline has flowed out? Is that something that's available?
Yes, we do have a dashboard where we're able to break it down by subgroup, and female, male, and then also by ethnicity, and by school, grade
And by
level,
school, yeah,
whichever way you want it.
Okay, so that's something that we can provide, because I think that would be something just worth the look, and especially when because that can go into instructional policy. It's just educational practices, period, to see how we can better serve the students to get academic gains. So that's the rationale.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So do we have an update on city versus public?
It's used in Akron Public Schools, Akron City Schools, and district.
Okay.
It's the same.
Yeah. So for now, I say leave city, since that's what this had to begin with. That's how the state is identifying us. So I would lean towards city, unless somebody wants to Yes, thank
Madam
you.
Chair, I would just say because we don't, like CMSD, Cleveland Metropolitan School District, that's what they're known as. We're known as Akron Public School District. That's our branding, what we're known as. Akron City School District, typically, like if you're going for our IRN, like she said, or our licensure, it's just what is the messaging, because it is interchangeable, so then I think it becomes the public-facing preference. So at the end of the day, like whichever, we can either start messaging ourselves as ACSD, but we've been APS for so, you see?
Yeah.
It's a messaging thing.
Yeah, we've been at APS all the, yeah.
So we've been Akron Public Schools, that's what we say, that's on our literature, that's our brand, our forward-facing brand, because most people are not going up into.
APS.
Pretty please. Yeah. We can go back, it's fine.
Okay, well, so, Madam
Yeah.
Chair, are you saying so we want to keep the first sentence in the second paragraph, except change it to fairness, the word?
So, yeah, so from the first, so yes, on the
Second paragraph.
second paragraph. I believe so you're asking, is fairness the word that we want to replace?
No, I'm asking, is there something in the first paragraph that you want to keep, or can we go to the second paragraph?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So in the first paragraph, it looks like the strike through is after significant and persistent disparities in the discipline of students. And then in this paragraph, it also says these trends are a pressing crisis in the United States of America, warranting serious attention from school districts as well as APS to work toward improved, it says equitable opportunities, but to work toward improved opportunities and outcomes for every student.
Okay.
I think that is something that is worth keeping.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can
Yes.
you say again which areas you're looking at?
Yes, so it would be from these on to be kept.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, and then equitable would be improved, and then President Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just being recognized to be excused from this meeting as I need to go to another meeting that I chair for scholarship.
Thank you, noted, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for working with us to build this, thank you. So, do we want to leave the strike-throughs in here or delete them once we've finished a section? Yes.
Thank you. I would add the new language into the new version that we're working on when we're done
Okay,
with our edits.
okay. So I believe, as Member Sykes pointed out, we are now on the second paragraph. And so in the second paragraph, the first sentence is now being kept. An impact analysis of discipline policies and practices on particular groups of students is an important indicator. We say of fairness in student discipline.
Yes.
What if we just say an important indicator within student discipline? Or do we want? I mean, we can keep fairness, but do we need
Within
what
is
it's an
fine.
indicator of?
Yeah, within is fine.
Yeah. Okay. The next sentence, I wonder if we can keep the next sentence. Disproportionalities in student discipline rates in a school or school district may be caused by a range of factors.
Madam Chair, were
Sorry.
you speaking a new sentence? Because that
Yes.
sounded a little different than what's here.
Oh, it's above that. It's the sentence before that. It's the
Okay,
one
gotcha,
right
gotcha.
after
Okay.
student discipline.
Yeah, it would start a new sentence. Yes,
Yes.
disproportionalities.
Yeah, right there. The next sentence, however, a large body of published research suggests that a substantial racial disproportionalities reflected in national data cannot be explained solely by more frequent or more serious misbehavior by students of color or by challenges associated with poverty.
Research, research indicates that disparities in national discipline data are not solely explained by differences in student behavior or economic challenges. Same thing, that
Yeah.
just took out.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just am not sure if it's the research we need to speak to in the policy.
I would say so unless we're going to add a footnote to what research. So I would just
Right,
leave it
so let's
out.
not even
Yeah.
put it in there. Don't, yeah, take it out.
Yeah, I would leave it out because then we have to get into footnotes.
Okay.
We all know writing. You know, it's PhD. You know.
So the sentence immediately after that, after poverty, was evidence shows suspensions and expulsions have a negative impact on school climate and student behavior, which can lead to other adverse outcomes to indicate the school to prison pipeline. Keep it, leave it, how do we feel?
I think we can stop it at adverse. Other adverse outcomes.
Lead to other adverse outcomes, yeah.
Period, and just eliminate the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah, I
Yeah, because
agree with
adverse
that.
outcomes, negative outcomes,
Sums it up.
same thing.
Same thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
We just saying real bad.
Okay, one more paragraph in this section. The first sentence here, to resolve this problem, the board's equity committee, in conjunction with the superintendent, chief diversity officer, and other designees, will review disaggregated discipline data by violation at a minimum, but not limited to the following factors: race and gender combined, by school and by teacher, to identify and address disparities. I think there are items in there that are certainly salvageable. Dr. Chapman?
Yeah, I would just recommend stopping at disaggregated discipline data.
Then the next sentence after disparities started, the board committee will review this information no less than quarterly to identify trends each calendar year. The board will receive a semi-annual report on their recommendations and resolutions that occur from this data analysis. The review of the disaggregated data and resolutions will assist in identifying other areas of concern relative to student discipline. These actions will establish equitable student disciplinary outcomes and increase student success of all students. I think most of that is critical. Yes.
And I also think that the committee will remain and receive regular information and reports at committee meetings. So I'm not sure that it needs to be specified that they would be quarterly.
Well, I think it says no less than quarterly.
Okay.
Or even at
So,
least.
it-
Well, oh, you said no less. So yeah,
Yes,
that
it's-
is 4 times a year.
yeah, so it would meet frequently, but this way it is a specific minimum, at least.
Should we just say, in that first sentence, should we just say the board's committee
responsible for oversight, and then that way you don't have to name a specific committee, but you're saying whatever the committee is that's looking at the oversight of discipline would be responsible to review discipline data
Well,
along with the superintendent.
I think it's the committee that's on the next page, is the committee that will meet no less than quarterly. We just haven't gotten to that page yet.
Oh, I was talking about the first sentence in that paragraph.
Yeah, the equity committee. Yeah. So the equity committee will meet no less than quarterly. So we
Or
will,
you're saying the board's committee?
so we will need a new name for the committee. But I think we'll name that committee when we get to that section, or should we put our placeholder in? Oh, there you go. There we go. And even the last sentence, or where, I think everything from the board committee on is, I think it's all important. I don't know. I'm open to discussion on the rest of it, but I think we can unstrike through all the rest of this.
Except the slash.
Yes, equitable. Thank you. Maybe we, these actions will establish improved student disciplinary outcomes.
Or will help identify areas of concern? Probably. So the actions will establish, will help, where the review of the disaggregated data and resolutions will assist in identifying areas of concern relative to student discipline. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
these
sentence
actions
there,
will
the review of the disaggregated data and resolutions will assist in identifying other areas of concern relative to student discipline. I'm not sure if we need that if we're saying the board will receive a semi-annual report on the recommendations and plans that occur from this data analysis, and then after planning, we're monitoring, and so these actions will establish monitoring or review systems around student disciplinary outcomes and increase student success for all students, and increase success for all students. Because the one thing about discipline, real quick, is we're not just addressing the issues of students who have disciplinary problems. Discipline supports learning for everyone because you're impacting the climate and the culture of a school.
I like your suggestion also because it's specific to someone like me who is not deeply involved in student discipline. I can say, oh, it's improved, but I don't know what an improvement is. And so when you describe those systems, it is clearer there.
I think
Still not
if we want to
sure.
say that these, were we keeping the last sentence or no?
No, we're going to modify that because of the word.
So mine says, basically would help identify areas of concern related to student discipline and support fair and consistent discipline outcomes. Establish fair systems.
I can tell how
These
interesting
actions
this is by
will
when you leave.
establish, these actions will identify areas of concern.
Does this work?
The review of the disaggregated data and plans will assist in identifying areas of concern, monitor disciplinary outcomes, and increase success for all students. So I'm thinking it's more than just reviewing the disaggregated data. I mean, I know what you're saying, though.
Yeah, this sentence I'm still
Review process as well.
thinking on.
I think
Is
it's
it a
something like
report?
we're reviewing it in order to make better decisions about how we're implementing our strategies around discipline, but just trying to figure out how to get that all in one sentence.
So we have two sentences there that speak to reviewing, and that's what I'm trying to eliminate. So,
You don't need the second one.
yeah, we talk about reviewing here, no less than quarterly, and then we stop here and go to reviewing again. So somehow it's this one, because we've already said we're reviewing information, and that is the disaggregated discipline data we speak to in the first sentence.
Do we just take off review of the disaggregated data and plans will assist in identifying?
So the first sentence, Madam Chair, if I may, the first sentence says the board committee, the superintendent, and other designees will review disaggregated discipline data. Then we say the board committee will review this information no less than quarterly to identify trends. And maybe we can just stop at trends. I'm not sure. And then the board will receive a semi-annual report on the recommendations, period. And the disaggregated, the plans, not the disaggregated, the plans will assist, or board monitoring will assist in identifying areas of concern, outcomes, and increase success for all students.
Yeah, so I think.
We're a little redundant.
We are,
in
we are.
some-
I think right where your cursor is after disparities, where it's a strike through, I think we can continue the strike through for the board committee will review this information. So then it will read from the beginning, to resolve this problem, the board's committee in conjunction with the superintendent, chief diversity officer, and other designees will review disaggregated discipline data no less than quarterly to identify trends each calendar year.
Yes.
The board will receive a semi-annual report on the recommendations and resolutions that occur from this data analysis. The disaggregated data and plans will assist in identifying areas of concern, monitoring disciplinary outcomes. I don't know if that's grammatically correct.
Yeah.
And increase student success for all students. I don't know. We might need to grammar this.
Could we just strike, could we just strike this? Yeah, could we strike this? To the disaggregated data and plans will assist in identifying areas of concern and increase success for all students.
And really, we want to and support fair and consistent disciplinary outcomes for all students. Because really, students aren't going to be able to increase their success by themselves. Like, it's going to take people to make that to help assist making that happen.
Say again, support fair.
To support fair and consistent disciplinary outcomes. Which means, like, it's going to make us do, like, we're going to have to do some work on our side.
Ready to take that section over to the other new policy? Okay. Thank you.
Water in my life. It's nice.
So the next section is recruitment, screening, hiring, and retention. This was another area that had a lot of strike through. And so I don't know if this is another area that we might want to cite the law.
Thank you
I
so
know
much.
we need to follow all applicable laws, policies, and guidelines, but I think even the laws, policies, and guidelines, those are the bare minimum. And I think there are still things that we can put in our policy that we want to do that is in support of our staff and of our community that are above the bare minimum. So I think, and like one example of that is I know that, and someone else, Ms. Carter, you probably could help me out here, but computerized AI screening tools and things like that aren't fair, aren't unbiased. So if there's a way that in this policy, we aren't just doing the bare minimum of applying or following laws, but we're also removing the opportunity for bias to prevent people from employment, right? Yes. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that, because I do think that, as I said in the last time, everything that was in this policy is important, so. Are we all caught up?
Are you ready to add this one section to the new policy?
Is it good for you? You think it's good?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, thank you. The next section is supplier diversity. This is, I think, the most recent section to have been added to this policy. And I don't know if there's any comment on the supplier diversity section.
Madam Chair, I would just simply say that I think it is important to have a statement, even though I see everything has been striked out here. And maybe as one of the largest employers in the city of Akron and Summit County, Akron Public Schools is committed to ensuring our vendors receive fair and equal, fair opportunities to, yeah, yeah.
Sorry. So Akron Public Schools will make sure that we,
It's committed to ensuring,
yes, committed to implementing a fair process in vendor selection, or I was actually looking at our updated vendor policy that we're going to have present on Monday, and I was trying to see if we could find any wording from that
okay.
real quick.
Yeah, I agree, Madam Chair, the fairness in our processes and procedures for contracting, our commitment to our local community, I just lost my words, our commitment to our local community, and transparency. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes, I think a lot of times, especially in this section, though, when we're talking about fairness, I think we can be very specific in what type of fairness that we would like to strive towards. And in this scenario, we are trying to provide transparency, as you said, Dr. Chapman, transparency and opportunity.
Okay. Transparency and opportunity. Mrs. Carter, did you find that language?
There's nothing really that would fit in this section. I think just that one or two sentences summing up fairness
Yeah.
and transparency.
And Member Sykes, as you pointed out, I think that the beginning of this sentence, as one of the largest employers
Yeah,
in
it's important.
in the city of Akron and Summit County, Akron City Schools is committed to ensuring. I think that is.
Yeah, our vendors receive. Did you get that language? What did
I did get the language here. Something's going on with this document now. It looks different.
I just don't know if our vendors fit in if it fit in that sentence we were saying, but I don't know if vendors will come here or at the end. Sentence. Fairness, transparency, and opportunities for our vendors, or something to that effect.
Akron Public Schools will engage vendors through a fair and transparent procurement process that ensures accountability and equal opportunity for all qualified providers. Can we say the word?
No. No. The opportunities,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it just wants to be there.
It does. It just wants
The document. And I think maybe if we just retype it.
this.
Just the supplier diversity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are smarter than the machine. So then the first struck through sentence, I think, should still be our first sentence. So as
And
one
Madam
of the
Chair, let me
largest.
just,
Sorry.
I don't know if we
Yes.
want to use supplier diversity or just suppliers,
Yes.
or just vendors.
Yes. Vendor procurement or just vendor?
Procurement, yeah, vendors procurement. Yeah.
Did I hear three things? Suppliers, vendors, and procurement?
Oh, no, I think just suppliers.
Okay.
And procurement.
And Dr. Monar, you were here?
Yes.
Okay.
So if we lead with that, and then the sentence you already have becomes the second sentence.
Can we say that we're committed to ensuring our vendors are diverse, or do we need another word there?
We probably want something else
Another
there.
word. Yeah, we want another word.
I think engaged and informed, I'm thinking about the way we recently gave notice to the community and expanded the number of responses for our recent RFP.
So like, just like that, what you just said. Like, we'll make sure that, so opportunity is there because of the way that we presented it.
The expansion.
You said expansion.
Yeah, what you said, yeah.
Informed and engaging opportunities to partner. Does that work? And Madam Chair, I just, quick note, wanted to be mindful too, we have business suppliers, but we also have a number of community partners who want to access our schools and bring programs into our classrooms and work with our children. So I don't know if we're also, broad enough to be speaking to that particular segment.
Well, this was just dealing with suppliers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It may be able to add it someplace else.
Okay. Are we ready to move that over? We're still going through?
Before we move this over, we did have measurable goals, and I don't know if there's any opportunity left focusing on transparency and opportunity to quantify an increase or quantify a goal, but I did want to mention that's something that was there before.
Yeah, in doing the work, it felt like the goals were always ever present, and new goals would surface because the work would change and adapt, and it felt more like administrative work rather than what needed to be in the policy.
Thank you for those comments. So, are we ready to move over?
Yes.
Awesome. And the next section is finances and resource allocations. This was another section that was struck through that I wonder if there's still an opportunity to rephrase this in a significant way. So my proposal, or start of a proposal of how we feel here, but something like the Board of Education is committed to ensuring that financial and resource allocations effectively support the schools within our district. To achieve this, the board would conduct a monthly review of financial and resource distribution to ensure that funding aligns with student needs. This review process will begin at the board level, requiring the treasurer, CFO, and the board finance and capital management committee to assess business affairs recommendations before board meetings. Which actually are the last two sentences of what's already there.
Prior to board
It's what's
meeting.
already there.
Ms. Carter.
Sorry, yeah, I tried to keep as much of the strike through as I could.
Okay,
Ms.
yes.
Carter, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm wondering if we can say something to capture like when possible. Like, basically, we want to make sure we're bringing everything through the Finance Committee, but you know how there may be some essential items as it relates to some contracts that are time sensitive, that we may have to put on a board doc before an actual finance meeting is going to happen. And sometimes that's because of the time that the company has gotten the contract to you before you're able even to review it.
So, Madam Chair, in those cases, you would bring that to the board, and then that would be a suspension of the rules. And then if the board agrees to suspend the rules, then, and that's what would happen anyway if we didn't have the, you're saying if something has to come and we can't do the 3 readings?
Right, like you know how, like this past board meeting, C.T. Taylor was scheduled to come to finance, but we had a snow day, and so it ended up having this to be straight to the board doc in order to stay on the timeline.
Yes. But this language was in prior to board meeting. It was there all along. So it just simply means that you would bring it to the board, but we would just have to suspend the rules.
Right, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, it would, yeah. But when possible, we really do need to try to bring it through committee.
Yeah. Yes.
Can I have another read, please, of your statement?
Yes. So the Board of Education is committed to ensuring that financial and resource allocations effectively support our district, that's fine, our schools. To achieve this, the board will conduct a monthly review of financial and resources,
Just financial resources.
yeah, to ensure
Or finances, so district finances.
district finances.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what we do.
Yes.
We just look at the,
Yeah. So
actually, twice a month, we review
right.
both board meetings, yeah.
And I think after this, it is from the old policy. So to review district finances to ensure that funding aligns with student needs. And then, as soon as that's done, it is,
Madam Chair, let me
Sorry,
just say,
yes.
I don't know if we want to reduce that, to limit that to students' needs, or we want to say district needs, because
Yeah.
it could be staff needs, and
yeah,
so district needs.
yes, yes. And then the rest of it should be exactly what was in the existing policy. So the existing policy said, this financial resource allocation review will begin at the board level and will require the treasurer, CFO. I think the whole thing,
Yeah, it's gone, but
Okay.
this financial and resource allocations review would
would begin at the, it's a lot, I don't know if you want to just copy paste, okay. Would begin at the board
gonna-
level.
And if I
Okay.
go back, it's going to erase everything. Yeah.
Okay, we'll begin at the board level and require the treasurer / CFO and board finance and capital management.
No, it's not working. And board.
I wonder if it's because you're both in the document,
I don't know. I don't know.
if that's why it's jumping around. I don't know.
No, she's not typing.
It's just requiring a lot of the system. It's just requiring a lot. Change it to be broadcasting.
And board finance.
Yes.
Committee.
It says Finance and Capital Management Committee, if that is still the full title of the committee.
It is.
Okay.
To
Okay.
review business affairs recommendations.
Now, why do we have review business affairs recommendations?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
To
know.
review,
to review. Why do we have business?
I don't
Why do
know.
we have that?
Would it be best to be aligned with the purpose of the committee?
Just say to review the recommendations.
yeah.
The recommendation that's coming from the treasurer and the finance and capital management committee. I don't know why business affairs is in there.
Because the items go under business affairs, is that why they put that there?
Not all of them, because basically this is just saying that we are going to look at the finance report, that the treasurer is going to bring the finance report to the board, and we're going to, and that entails everything, including business affairs.
To review financial recommendations presented to the board, including?
No,
No.
Okay.
no.
So to review financial recommendations prior to board meetings.
No, I was just saying that includes everything, including business affairs, so you don't have to put business affairs in there. Unless when this was being written, they meant the affairs of the district or the
Yeah. Did we just lose it all?
oh,
It's like, it jumps around.
Yeah, something's going on with this. I'm not sure what.
okay, well, so we need to-
So,
we-
yes.
we'll write it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
If you
type
could.
it on.
Yeah.
Type it on mine too. So I'm going to
Yeah.
change, so the end, it was to assess recommendations prior to board
It's
meetings.
like it's in a footer or something.
And finances. Okay, and then this was district.
Yeah. Yeah, the racial equity policy is no longer, it doesn't want to
Okay.
continue.
I have,
remember
I have a different
Marla has-
Google Doc
Okay.
that I
She
can
has it.
keep track of.
Okay.
So the next section was the board committee that will likely be renamed. So the board -- committee. And it said, the Board of Education will constitute a board-level committee that partners with the district to review, we had equity plans, so to review district plans, recommendations, and receive regular reports of the district's progress on key performance metrics. The committee will work directly with the superintendent and the chief officer. And I think the next section is where we describe the
Is it going to be
Officer.
moved over?
Well, before, since the next section's where we describe the officer, I think now is where we have the tough conversation of naming the committee and naming the work.
Okay.
So before we move this over, we can come up with a name for the committee and a name for the work. We have a list from all of our notes, our options here.
Yep. Let's see. There in the minutes, the names that were recommended?
Yes, we
Yes.
had, so for the policy, we had comprehensive education policy, institutional effective policy, access and oversight policy. And so my recommendation is whatever we end up naming the policy is what we would name the committee. So if it's a comprehensive education policy, it would be a comprehensive education committee. That's how my brain works, but I am open for discussion. So if everyone has, I don't know, did you have the minutes from before? So from the minutes, option 1 was comprehensive education. Option 2 was institutional effectiveness. Option 3 was access and oversight.
So I know that, I know that the superintendent had mentioned, and when it was first brought up, operations. So it was comprehensive education policy. Can we put operations in there someplace?
Yeah, comprehensive operations.
Education policy?
Comprehensive education and operations committee. I don't know.
Comprehensive Operations and Educations Committee. Trying to capture.
Operational effectiveness committee.
Yeah, I don't know if we need education in there.
Yeah, I think if we put operational effectiveness, it covers all of operations, which includes academics, finances, human resource, human capital, actually. Vendor relations, it captures everything. Operational effectiveness.
I think if that way, if we say comprehensive operational policy. I'm just trying to see how we can combine them. Just kind of have them both.
Or just comprehensive operations.
Comprehensive operations.
Comprehensive Operations.
Here we go. COC. We can't help ourselves, can we? It becomes an alphabet
Yeah.
with all it has to be.
Yeah, all the acronyms. Yeah.
COC. Comprehensive
We'll just confuse everyone.
operations.
Comprehensive Operations Committee? Okay.
I don't know who came up comprehensive, but we do want it to be comprehensive.
Does that, in everyone's opinion, does that capture the auditing and everything that needs to occur?
That's part of operations is auditing, and auditing takes place throughout every department.
I don't know if that's in line with what we've seen other organizations are doing, like at the university or across the country, or
Yeah.
One of the things
Throughout
that
the
was
city?
unique about us is there weren't other districts that had equity committees.
oh, okay.
So that was really, really unique
Okay.
to Akron. So, yeah.
And one thing I think that remains unique to Akron is the fact that we are readjusting the paradigm of how we're viewing this work, because of districts that might have had a website or something up, a lot of places did simply pull it down.
Okay. Okay, so, let me see.
So then, would that make
What-
this
did we-
policy?
Did we, for instance, okay, we have Board, Finance, and Capital Management Committee. Do you want Comprehensive and Operations Committee? Do you want to add "and" instead? I'm trying to think of what the other committees' names are. How-
They all have and, legal
They
and,
have
finance
ands,
and.
So,
There's an and for
So do we
everything.
want to do Comprehensive and Operations Committee, or Operations and Comprehensive Committee, you know? Just keep it in line.
And if we're adding an it is comprehensive, but maybe it's not comprehensive and, maybe that it's comprehensive operations and maybe
Something.
like access or strategy or, I'm trying to think of the other things that we are trying to encourage or promote within this policy. We're trying to make sure people have access to opportunities.
I think the bulk of it too is the monitoring piece, so
Yeah.
how we get
I actually like the fairness. Comprehensive operations and oversight. Just throwing out words.
Yeah, yeah.
So, from the three options we had, if we take one key word from each of those options, we could have comprehensive institutional oversight.
Comprehensive institutional oversight. We just left out operation.
Oh, operations. Institution,
Comprehensive operations and oversight and
yeah.
accountability committee. No.
Comprehensive operations and institutional oversight.
Oh,
Comprehensive operations and institutional oversight. Okay.
I just like to put a few things in.
okay.
One is Comprehensive Operations and Oversight Committee, Comprehensive Operations and Advancement Committee, Comprehensive Operations and Review Committee. I know, it's a lot. Comprehensive Operations and Impact Committee, and then Comprehensive Operations and Compliance Committee. What do you think?
I like compliance, but that may be one of those words.
Right.
I don't know.
So if we did compliance, would it be comprehensive operations and compliance oversight? Because the oversight would do the monitoring. Compliance would be the assessment. Comprehensive and institutional are kind of the same thing.
Yes.
So this would be compliance oversight.
Operations and
Comprehensive operations, and I like the institutional oversight.
Okay.
I don't know. Or oversight.
institutional was President Jackson's.
Comprehensive
She did
operations.
institutional effectiveness.
She did. Yeah. Comprehensive operations and institutional oversight.
And institutional oversight. I
It's a
think
mouthful, but
it's no different than board, finance,
Legal,
and capital management
contracts,
committee, or
policy,
legal contract.
yeah.
It's right. Yeah. Comprehensive operational and institutional oversight. I think it gets everybody main word in there.
Yeah,
And it's still going to go to legal and then get 2 more reads, so.
Here we go.
COIO. Okay, so are we then now naming this our Comprehensive Operations and Institutional Oversight Policy?
I like it.
I do too.
Substantial progress right now.
operations and institutional oversight.
Committee. Don't
Well,
forget
policy.
policy. And then don't forget committee when we get to committee.
So it's not just COIO, it's COIOC for committee.
This is education. We can't help ourselves. We can't help it. I wouldn't expect anything less. It can't be that simple or short.
Well, they put word counts so minimum whenever you're applying for a conference, you have to abbreviate.
You have to abbreviate. So. Comprehensive operational
Policy.
institutional oversight policy.
Here. And we go here.
Comprehensive,
We need to get rid of some of the strike-throughs, but we go here and
comprehensive.
we're at committee.
Committee.
Yeah.
So this is, the board level Comprehensive Operations and Institutional Oversight Committee.
That sounds, it just rolls right off your tongue. It just rolls right off. Did you notice it? It did. It really did.
That partners.
Oversight.
This committee will work directly with the superintendent and the chief officer. So it is not the chief equity officer, it would be the chief operations and oversight, operations and institutional oversight officer.
Operational institutional oversight.
Chief
Right.
Operations Officer.
Chief
Operations,
operational,
COO.
chief operational institutional oversight. Chief Operational and Institutional Oversight Officer. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. CO squared. Well, we also said the intent of the policy is to ensure fairness, access, opportunity. And so, does the name follow that? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So what do you say? Mr. Carter?
Institutional fairness, I don't know. Chief, we said access, opportunity, fairness is the intent of the policy. So the position, does it need to be named after a policy or the intent of the policy?
And I think it should be both. I think
Yeah.
it should be named after the intent of the policy, and the policy should also be named after the intent of the policy. And
So what would that be?
So it would be Chief of Operations and Institutional Oversight.
Yeah, the thing, I don't like just chief of operations because it makes me think of like an engineer.
Yeah, the business side.
And there's so much, when you talk about fairness, access,
Opportunity.
opportunity,
Chief Opportunity Officer.
The Chief of Institutional Oversight.
There, okay, that's good. Thoughts?
it's simmering. It's, the wheels are spinning, I promise. It's 7 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
I like, I'm wondering, does this oversight, I like opportunity. I don't know if opportunity can fit in there, but I like it because I think it speaks to access and that side of the work.
Yeah. Institutional, CIO, Chief of Institutional Oversight. That's clean. It's clean.
It's clean? Okay. Well, the next section,
Or, I wonder if it's chief institutional oversight officer.
I think chief and officer is the same, yeah. But the next section, we have an opportunity, again, to think about this, because the next section actually really talks about the connection between this officer and the policy and the work. So, what was here, it looks like a lot of this was struck through.
Implementation.
Yes, we are at implementation, monitoring, and board comprehensive.
Comprehensive. And operational institutional oversight policy. What is
Institutional Oversight.
Yes.
comprehensive and operational institutional oversight policy?
Yep. Yes.
Comprehensive.
When you say the four words together, it doesn't sound like policy, does it? It just sounds like a committee, but it doesn't feel, it doesn't sound like policy.
Current operation and institutional oversight committee. I'm gonna have to write this down as we keep. Comprehensive.
The way you said
operational,
it sounded good.
Institutional oversight. And then the position that we named was Chief of Institutional Oversight? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in this section, it would be the responsibility of the chief of institutional oversight.
Oh, you wanted to start with the responsibility of?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It would be the responsibility of,
Instead of the superintendent?
will appoint,
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
start with the superintendent.
the superintendent will appoint.
An executive level,
Executive director level,
yeah.
chief of institutional oversight.
Period. Okay.
And then it would see, to oversee
Who oversees the district policies and implementation. Oh, that's comprehensive, it's in there. The language that you. Who oversees the district policies and implementation of comprehensive educational strategies supported within the district strategy plan and embodies the right system.
the one thing, I wonder if we can speak directly to this policy. This talks about general policies, the strategic plan, but I wonder if there's a way that we can make it part of the role of the individual to really, because
Well, it said who,
who, yes.
so it's saying that that person would be responsible for that. Who oversees the district?
Because,
Is that, maybe that's not what you were saying?
yeah, because the old policy said the district's equity policy and the implementation of equity strategies.
Oh, okay.
So,
Who will oversee the comprehensive and,
Supported within this, usually just within this policy.
within this policy, yeah.
Madam Chair, we're saying who oversees the implementation.
Yes. Chief oversees district policies and implementation of comprehensive strategies supported how about within this policy and the district strategic plan? Or,
no, okay.
do we still need embedded throughout the system? Yes, because that then speaks to the rest of the policies
And the
and the
audit.
relationship,
Embedded, yeah, the whole system,
yes.
yeah, throughout the system, yeah.
Collaborate and consult with other district leaders.
So this red, where does this red come from? This come from the administration or from?
This part
Yeah.
up here, we just, yes, administration.
The
And
administration?
this is new red from our conversation tonight.
Okay, okay.
So, I don't know, so what, let's see. The old one says, ensures the district's practices are aligned. I would hope that this reference is in there, and if not, then we should keep that.
Yes.
And then it said, at minimum, the CIO will serve on the board's COIO committee.
Yeah, because now the superintendent appoints staff to each committee. Yeah, okay.
Okay, to ensure, okay. At minimum, right?
I think it moved.
It- This racial equity policy is.
It's going to make you work too and put it in your system.
Okay. At minimum. The CIO, okay. And it's the CI, the board's comprehensive, operational, and oversight, right? Institutional oversight committee. Okay.
And then you can erase the duplicate at minimum, because I think that was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the old policy said, oh, and serve as. So yeah, we can, so.
You want to keep that?
Yeah, and serve as a district level auditor and reviewer, consulting with other district presenters, leaders. Presenters.
Okay.
I don't know if we need leaders.
Other district leaders?
Oh, yeah, we don't need
We don't need
presenters. That's what I meant.
presenters.
Yes, thank you.
Period.
What about on the implementation of this policy or on the oversight? Basically, to make sure that the stuff in this policy is getting done. Say that.
Say that
Yes.
like you got a PhD.
Right, say that you got a PhD.
Okay.
We're talking to the two of you now.
There we go.
I thought it was a
That's
ChatGPT
clean.
prompt. Say
That's
this like you
clean.
have a.
Say this like you got a PhD.
That is clean.
Yeah, we're on the master's level. You got PhD.
Right.
There it is.
We don't mind admitting. You all do that. You do that.
Okay.
We get tired.
On the implementation of this policy. Okay. So, in what's here, let me ask the room. Do we feel like this description sufficiently describes what we want? The heart of this work, a commitment to aligning strategic priorities, meaningful outcomes for students and staff and the broader community. Does this, talk about, compliance with the other things we've discussed, compliance with state, federal, and board mandated objectives, data-driven recommendations. I know we mentioned these things in other places of the policy. Do we need any of that here within this role?
Are you asking if you want to ensure that the position adheres to all guidelines, all federal, state, local laws?
It's
Okay.
getting to the end, so I think it doesn't hurt to restate it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't hurt to restate
To
it.
restate it, I don't think it hurts to restate it. Again, this is education, so, wordsmiths here.
Is there a finish to this?
So, yes, let me see here. The CIO will adhere to all federal, state, and local laws, while strengthening accountability and transparency.
I like that.
And aligning strategic priorities to meaningful outcomes for students, staff, and the community.
Strategic priorities, meaningful too? Just strategic
don't remember.
priorities.
Strategic priorities.
Well, it would be meaningful to the,
Meaningful to the community.
Yeah.
or district could cover it all.
Yeah.
The district community,
Just
the district community is both internal and external.
And I don't know if this is redundant, but I'm just reading off my notes now. This is a sentence I did wordsmith, but we don't have to use it if it's redundant. But I had, through a rigorous process of internal audits, they will analyze student access, achievement, resource distribution, and opportunities, identifying barriers, and developing strategies to remove them. Does that feel?
Sounds like a new sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the CIO will analyze student access, achievement, resource distribution, and opportunities, identifying barriers, and developing strategies to remove them.
The spelling is gone. Developing strategies to address them or
To remove them.
to remove them. Okay.
barrier.
I-
Barriers,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, to remove the barriers, but yes.
Is that one of those,
I thought it was one of the words,
To
so
remove.
I'm not sure.
Ms. Carter, barriers, is that one of those?
Silly.
You are not helping. I know, we're tired. You don't remember seeing barriers, so we're using
Okay.
it until someone tells us we can't.
We're just,
Right.
yes, yes, yes.
We're using it until someone say you can't, all right?
Yes, legal will tell us if we
Okay.
can, I mean, a barrier is a wall.
It's in the language. It's a word.
And then the last thing, once again, I don't know if this is
Oh,
useful, but sorry. We talked about collaboration above already, so I don't know if it already kind of says this, but I had, we'll work closely with the heads of other departments to develop targeted action steps. I don't know if that's already
We do
up
talk
there.
about
Yeah.
collaborate and consult with other district leaders to ensure that the district's practices are aligned. Do you want to add to that?
No, I think we should stop it at a line,
Yeah.
because if you go too much,
Okay. Because my recommended add to that would be to create monitoring systems that track progress towards the district goals.
oh, okay.
So they're aligned but moving, but I don't know, is that too much?
To create
Well, I think monitoring systems are.
monitoring
Create
systems.
monitoring systems that track progress toward district goals.
Okay.
Okay, and then The next section in the original policy. Let me see make sure I'm where we are. Ensuring culturally relevant, responsive material. And diversity, equity, inclusion themes are included. Co-constructing, using shared decision-making practices embedded throughout the district with monitoring systems to meet district goals. I think that's where I was pulling that, the monitoring systems. I don't know if we want to pull shared decision-making also, but we did talk about the collaboration. So we had collaboration, we had monitoring systems, we had meet district goals. So that's from this section. Hiring and recruitment, facilitating with department heads, the development of specific requisite action steps for departments to implement diversity outcomes.
I think we've captured most
that.
of that, all of that.
So then the next section was that the board would develop and implement a district-wide plan with clear accountability and metrics, which will result in measurable academic improvements.
There's a
Yes.
I wonder if the plan would just be the strategic plan, because that's what we do in the strategic plan.
A district-wide plan.
I would agree. I'm not sure that we would do anything other than our regular work plans aligned to the strategic plan.
So the district will develop and implement a district-wide plan. So maybe we strike through until with clear accountability. But we need one of the plans.
Put plan after Y, or, yeah. So implement a district-wide plan.
Like that? Oh,
Yeah, district-wide
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. There?
Yes, with clear accountability and metrics, which will result in measurable academic improvements for the students of APS. The superintendent and/or CIO.
CIO.
CIO shall monitor and report the progress of the plan and outcomes.
I think it's more than measurable academic improvements. It's measurable improvements for the district. Measurable improvements district-wide.
Yeah.
And if you just wanted to make sure academics stand out, you can say measurable academic and district-wide improvements.
Shall monitor and report the progress of the plan and outcomes. How do we feel on the section?
District decision-making? Is that where we are, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And for those of you watching at home, this is the last section.
Madam Chair, that first sentence is very long.
It is very long. So in the first sentence, could we so the district will utilize various decision-making tools to consider program design and implementation, services for students, families, and communities, distribution of resources and strategies, period.
And then start the sentence, will act. I see why they use and.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, because normally you would say, we will act, or someone will act deliberately and intentionally to make adjustments and recommendations for improvements as needed. So do you want to start out, because it is the district, so you want to start this sentence with the district again?
Yeah.
That's the reason why they use
Yeah,
and.
why they had
They
and
just-
and why it was
yeah.
so long.
They just combine the two sentences because it is the district. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So we have this first sentence still, and then,
Do we need deliberately and intentionally?
I think those are excellent words.
Okay.
Deliberately and intentionally. Make adjustments and recommendations for improvements as needed. It's a long sentence, but it is a complete sentence. Because if you put a period there, then you're going to have to start that sentence again with the district will act. So at least you eliminate two words.
Yeah.
Not using the district twice. It is a
Okay.
long sentence, but I think it's a good sentence.
So the next sentence again says this deliberate and intentional process.
We can just say this process.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't need to use it twice. Did we use it? Yeah, we
Yeah.
can just say this process.
Should be recorded and audited by the Chief of Instructional Oversight.
Chief of Operations.
Or, sorry.
Chief of Operations and Institutional Oversight.
Institutional oversight.
What's the title again? Chief of Institutional Oversight, CIO.
Institutional.
Okay,
Yeah.
it was right. I was thinking of the committee, see? Okay.
Institutional oversight.
Okay. So what was struck through was on several populations within the administrative guidelines. I wonder if that was from something else.
Yeah, I see why that's, you don't want to single out a particular population.
Yeah. The last struck through sentence here, let's see.
Starting with after the completion.
Well, is there an opportunity here to, again, talk about, is this whereas the disaggregated data and the factors that could be deliberated? No? Okay.
I think we've touched
touched
on
it, okay.
that. I think the policy speaks to the values and the intent and the purpose of even having this. And I'm not so much about how we disaggregate data and what tools we use and what pieces and parts we pull apart as much as I am that we do it. Yeah.
Right. And I didn't know if it would be important somewhere in this policy. We did mention the civil rights and the information from here, but to talk about protected classes of some kind, we could specifically talk about maybe English as a second language or socioeconomic status or ability level, or do you think that pointing that out just would be a potential cause for another revision?
Well, you know, the president has declared English as, I think it's the first and only language. Now, that's an administrative
Yeah.
declaration he has made. It is not a law. It is not the law, but that has been declared administrative. So I would just stay away from it.
Yeah, I don't really see the need for that.
Well, let me just ask, though, I see here where the strikeout deals with where the staff person, the officer will, the chief staff person would make recommendations for each department to improve its performance. So where this language may not be the correct language, we want to say something to some feedback. She'll give feedback because we are searching for improvements. Should we have
I do like that sentence.
some sort of feedback to the departments or to the district? Because we doing all of this, we got all the analysis, we got all the information, we see where we got some holes, we've dropped some balls. We do need to give some feedback for some corrective actions.
Yeah.
Improve performance, processes, procedures, practices. I'm throwing out words.
Based on data.
Based on data, yeah,
We're doing everything.
on data,
data-driven.
right. So it would start after the completion of the audit. But it should be after the completion of collection of the data analysis.
Using data to
'Cause
inform.
after the collection of the data, the analysis, and
To inform practices.
because that's what we want to collect it, we want to analyze it,
Oh,
we want to report it, and we want to provide some feedback on improvements or.
And I think the original policy ended with the last words, at every level of the district.
Improvement at every level of the district. But definitely based on the data analysis.
does this look like what we're talking about?
What does it say? I don't even know if I can see it. I just see it with my glasses. It's a new glasses, matter of fact. A new prescription. I don't know if I can see it. That's why I said should be recorded on after completion of the information.
Good start.
Yep, I like it. I think we did it. So, third meeting's a charm. Thank you to everyone. Is there any other comments on this policy before we move on? There are like 3 more quick items on the agenda. Is there anything else on this policy? Or do we feel comfortable sending this to legal for Monday? Presenting it in new business for legal on Monday? Okay, so we will bring this as new business on Monday.
Well, let me just say.
Yes.
So we're going to clean it up and all of that.
Yes.
Could you send the cleanup to the committee first, so we could
Yes.
Yes.
just make sure, and to administration, so they
Everyone
can take a look at it before we, just in case, because we got tired eyes here, just in case we
yes,
miss
we
an
do.
obvious. Before we send it to the legal committee.
Okay.
Thank you. So the next item, I'll combine the next 2 items. There were 2 items also sent to the Equity Committee, 10.3 and 10.4, which were 2 job descriptions. One was a coordinator of talent and organization. The other was a coordinator of social services. And so I don't have the job descriptions for these. I don't know if these were to fall within the equity department.
I think we have
We
the job.
do have the
You
job
Oh, I
should
do?
have the
descriptions
Okay.
in the packet. Yes.
Oh, it's down here. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the administration was bringing these jobs to the board?
Yeah, so currently with our talent, organizational development, and recruitment department, we have 1 person. And the plan is to make sure that we provide more support, because this department oversees all of the professional development within the district. And so with our federal funds, we know that we can support PD with our title funds. And so this position is to help with providing more support in that department to assist with the needs of the district as relates to professional development and recruitment. And this person does not just do PD. So the talent and organizational development department organizes professional development across the district. So not just teachers and principals, but this department also makes sure that our custodial services, our secretaries, our clerical workers, our parapros, that there's a plan in place for development throughout the district. And so we do need to look at building more within that department. So this is going to be funded by title funds. If, in fact, we were to get this job description approved this school year, it would have had to be covered under general fund. Next school year, it would be covered under title as it relates to funding sources.
Is there any discussion?
So when you say under title, you're not sure which title?
I don't know if it's Title
which line, 4,
2 or Title
2?
4. I'd have to
Okay.
check with
Okay,
Keith.
okay.
But this has been something I know that in development as it relates to knowing that we have a need for this position. And so, I mean, it may change again as it relates to the actual title. We may be looking at specialist positions as well to support that department. But it's the job description for right now. And so I don't think there's going to be any active movement on it, just based off of where we are right now. But I don't have the final say on what the plans are.
Yes, yes. And is that the same for the second position, or?
Same for the second position. This position would be a part of our student and family services. We do have a high need in that department as it relates to providing supports to our families and our students. This basically covers a lot of the stuff that we talked about in this policy, you know, looking at students who are struggling academically or with attendance, addressing those barriers that are stopping them from being able to be successful in school. So this person is going to help with making sure that there's linkage and services in place, helping the MTSS coordinators would be consulting with this person, working with this person, making sure that schools, teachers have the resources needed in order to make sure that students and families have what they need. So it's just to help enhance the work within the student services and student and family services department.
Okay, so this was sent here because, why? Why was this sent to the Equity Committee?
I'm not sure. President Jackson had it. She had said it, but I think she said that maybe it would have been better in the Finance Committee to decide whether or not we have the funds right now to move forward with it. But I think that basically right now we have a wish list of positions that we know we wish we could have if we, you know, had funds and things like that. And so it is something I think that we would look at approving. And so that way, if we were to get the funds to support the work, whether it was grant funds or who knows, somebody wants to donate millions of dollars, I don't know. But we would be ready for if the opportunity presented itself.
Okay, so is there any intentions to move or to advertise this position now during this school term that would allow the employees that in DEI to apply for these positions?
As of right now, I don't believe that these two positions would be filled this school year. But I would need to check to find out what the intentions would be with the job descriptions. So right now, I know that the first step, of course, is getting the job description approved.
Right.
But whether or not after it's approved, if we're going to try to get it filled this school year is something that I would need to speak with the superintendent about.
Okay. And of course, Mrs. Carter, you know, I'm bringing this up because that was my understanding, that's why that the president sent these two positions to the Equity Committee, because they were, and the superintendent has every right to do that, to try to find a solution to, in the event what we're going to do with staff that would be qualified to fill these positions in the event that we were finding ourselves in a situation where the DEI staff, or as I said a Monday meeting, the DEI office appeared to be dissolving because of the other position that was brought before this board on last Monday. So I just want, you know, I just want to be very, to be very clear on what's happening here. Very clear on what's happening. And the intent. So the intent has changed? Is that what I'm hearing?
I believe that it has. I believe that right now we're at the point where as it relates to our DEI office, we don't know what's going on as it relates to.
Right.
We haven't gotten any clear directives or anything like that. Again, I don't want to speak
Right.
on behalf. I mean, I think what I've reported out is what I know right now as it relates to the position still wanting to be, I know that Dr. Robinson still wants these positions to be approved for that when we can fill them, that we would get them filled.
All right, so let me just say this. I think that because there have been particular names associated with the positions, particular actions that have been taken with these positions, I think if we go any further, I would have to request that we go into executive session, because I don't want to have individuals and information out there on individuals that I would not feel comfortable discussing if it was my situation. So, and we don't, and I'm not requesting that we go into executive session to discuss this, but I think that is what this board would need to do. It would only be fair to the employees to do that. And so I have no more discussion on this issue.
I am going to try to be very careful here, but I also want to give my perspective and get a couple things clarified on my end, and that way if we do get to a point where we have an executive session, we have a starting point. But I just wanted to clarify again, at this point, there does not seem to be an intention to move forward with either of these for the 24-25 school year.
Not at this moment.
And if we did move forward with these for the 24-25 school year, it would have to come from general fund?
It would come from general fund.
Okay.
Correct.
And that I also kind of, what I would like to know as a board member is the intention and the direction. One of the items that you said is there doesn't seem to be a clear direction from the government with what's happening. So I'm hoping that with our policy, the board is providing a clear direction of the work that we would like to see occur in the district and maintained. I tried to maintain as much of the support that our families and our staff are currently receiving as possible. And so I would want to know if there is a possibility of that changing. I think I would want to know about the direction, because the government, right, does not know what our district is doing. Doesn't know what our district is doing, but the concept of a DEI office, right, and the work that is happening and the student support that is happening that is not, in my opinion, what this letter is about.
Correct. And so I don't want to talk about employees either in an open
Right.
session. And so I think that, again, that the work that's in the job description is needed, as well as there's other things that are needed that we're just not able to do right now because of budget. So I was just saying that just as I just want to make sure we're keeping things separate as it relates to job descriptions, work needed, and our DEI department. One thing that's nice is when you do have opportunities for employees if there were to be a RIF. That's all. And I think that's what Dr. Robinson would say, that when we have a RIF in employment and someone does qualify for a particular position and they're admin, they do have they wouldn't have to go through like the interview process to actually move into that position if they qualify for it. So that's just information. But again, I think that as relates to the actual next steps and intentions, I think you would really just have to talk to Dr. Robinson regarding where is he now with the positions. But I do know that he wants the positions approved for when an opportunity presents itself, we could actually get them filled because the work is still needed. I can say that point. I could say that much.
And I agree, a conversation from the person who is recommending the positions would be grand. We had this conversation on an agenda for tonight. This would have been the perfect time for that conversation. And so I don't know when else or how else to have a conversation other than to put it on a publicly noticed agenda. But I would say that we have had conversations about needing to do reductions of 29 employees. Is that conversation going to happen in finance?
Yes, it is.
So if we were to add positions, I would be curious of what that would do to the amount of reductions we'd need to do. So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay. So, what are you seeking, Madam Chair?
Sorry. So I think that since we have the job descriptions, but no intention, no direction, but it sounds like these positions are not coming to the board this year. I think that I don't see a reason to continue to discuss them unless they're going to come to the board this year, or unless I'm missing something critical. So if they're not coming to if they're not coming to the board this year, then I guess I'm just talking in circles.
That is my thinking, but I still think that you would have to clarify. That's my thinking, that these positions will not be filled this year. But I do know that Dr. Robinson still wants the job descriptions for if an opportunity does present itself.
So I guess I'm saying if he wants the job descriptions this year, then he should bring that to a board. This was an opportunity to bring that to the board. And maybe there's another committee that can go through. But at this point, I would think it would be inappropriate to bring it to the full board, having had this opportunity and not using it, right? Maybe there's another
he is
opportunity.
gone on a work-related, it's work-related of why he's not here, but I could definitely make sure that he gets the message.
And if they're not coming, then it doesn't. It's not a. If they're not coming to the board, they're not coming. So that's fine. Is there a recommendation?
Just for clarification, I can't even remember. What was the president was trying to get it referred to where?
She said that she thought that. She said that maybe this wasn't the right committee, but I can't remember
what,
everything that
yeah.
she said around it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember what committee she wanted it to go to. I think we voted to keep it in this committee until we got a better clarification on exactly what the intent.
What the intent was,
Well,
yes. But I
yeah.
think that if we're talking about like specific employees, like you said, you'd probably want to have more conversation with him in executive.
Okay. All right, and I don't have a problem, in talking to the superintendent about what he's
Right.
thinking and where he would like to see this go.
Thank you.
Not at all, not at all.
Okay, the last item on the agenda is the annual committee meeting schedule. This says Equity Committee meeting because it was printed more than an hour ago. But the Comprehensive COIO Committee schedule, all meetings at 5:30 in the board room. The first 3, we can check those off. We've done that. Next meeting will be April 7th, 2025 at 5:30 right here. And then the meetings monthly until November are listed on the page. Is there anything else before we adjourn?
No, Madam Chair, just to say I appreciate going through this process. And I'm not telling the truth, but I'm not telling the truth. But I appreciate you being here along with the staff being here with us and going through this process. It's not easy, but it is policy. It is the work of committee. It is the work of the committee. I just appreciate it. All of us just kind of hanging in here and doing what we need to do. And just to make it clear, so we're going to get a clean copy, and
Yes.
we're
Yes,
going
Member
to
Sykes.
send that back to us so we can take a look at that. And that will be before it goes to legal, right?
Yes.
And before, we want to, with
Yes.
clear eyes, clear mind.
Would you like that at the April 7th or prior?
Prior.
Okay.
Prior.
So we can get that as soon as it's cleaned up tomorrow.
Right. Because we definitely want the legal committee to have it by, is it Monday?
Monday. It would be
Monday.
presented to the legal committee as new business on Monday.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And it is 8 o'clock, and we are adjourned.